Today we're going to talk about squaring a binomial. Now you've already been foiling things binomials when you know you have to multiply two binomials times each other. And really when we're talking about squaring a binomial, you could do the same thing. Squaring a binomial means you're going to do x plus 3 times x plus 3, right? That's what that little 2 as an exponent means. So if you're going to FOIL this, the first terms times themselves or times each other would be x squared. The outer terms would be x times 3 or 3x. The inner terms would be 3 times x or 3x. And the last terms would be 3 times 3, which would be 9. And if you add like terms, you're going to get x squared plus 6x plus 9. The thing is, you can do this every single time as long as you remember to multiply that out or to write it out and make sure you FOIL. Or you can be a little smarter than the average bear and say, wait a minute, there's a pattern going on here, because I know when I FOIL that this term and that term are always going to be exactly the same. The inner terms are always going to be the same. So if I know what one of those inner terms is, I know that when I add like terms, it's going to be double that inner term. When I add those two like terms together, since they're the same, it always has to be double it in order to find the common or the altogether combined middle term. So can we use that to be a little bit faster? Again, let's look at this one. If I multiply that out the long way, it's going to be x minus 7 times x minus 7. And I'm going to get x squared minus 7x plus 49. Add like terms, x squared minus 14x plus 49. Now I can see that the x squared comes from x times x, and the 49 comes from negative 7 times negative 7, because negative 7 times negative 7 is 49. But what about that minus 14? What's the shortcut to find the minus 14? Well, minus 14x, to be really clear. The shortcut's going to be to look at this term, the last part of your binomial, and multiply it by the first part of your binomial. So negative 7 times x is negative 7x. Then remember to double it. X squared minus 14x plus 49, because we got a negative 7x and another negative 7x. It's going to be a negative 14x. Okay, let's check one more example. 3x plus 5 times 3x plus 5. The first term is going to be 3x times 3x, which is 9x squared. The last term is easy again, 5 times 5, that's a plus 25. But where do I get those middle terms? Pay really, really close attention. Those middle terms. Outer is 3x times 5. So the outers will give us a 15x. And what about the inners? 5 times 3x will give me another 15x. So that outer term here, 3x times 5, that's the same thing as first times last in our original binomial. So 3x times 5 is 15x. 15x times 2 is 30x. So 9x squared plus 30x plus 25. Okay, so now do you think that we can do these other squares of a binomial in one step, just one step and not two? Can we do it in one step and not two? Well, we know that the first term is going to be x squared. We know the last term is going to be 81. But what's that middle term going to be? Can we do this in just one step? Well, 9 times x would be 9x. What do we have to do with it? How many 9x's are we going to get? We're going to get 2. 9x plus 9x is going to be 18x. Is that clear? And then we can do the same thing down here. We know the first terms are going to be x squared. And then the last term, negative 5 times negative 5, that's negative 25? No, no, no. What is negative 5 times negative 5? It's a positive 25. Plus 25 is the last term. What about that middle term? Can we do this in one step? x times a negative 5 is negative 5x. So is it a negative 5x here? No, no, no. What is it? It's not negative 5x. Remember, we have to double it. It's going to be a negative 10x. So we shouldn't even have a little plus sign right there, should we? X squared minus 10x plus 25. One more example. Can we do this one in one step? The first term is going to be this times itself. So that's going to be 49x squared. Don't forget the squared. Just don't. Don't forget the squared. You got to write that squared thing down. And then our last term is going to be negative 3 times negative 3. Don't forget that negative. A lot of students do that. It's negative 3 times negative 3, which is a plus 9. What about the middle term? 7x times negative 3. Well, 7 times 3, negative 3 is a negative 21. So is it a negative 21x? Don't forget to double it. Negative 42x should be there. And if you don't believe me on these last three, go ahead, pause the video, write them out twice, just like we did up here, and FOIL them instead of trying to do the one-step method, okay? I'd like for you to master that one-step method. And if you can, you'll save yourself lots and lots of pencil lead down the road. But if you don't master the one-step method and you always end up writing it twice, and just writing it a whole thing out and foiling it out instead of doing the one step, that's fine too. At least you get the right answer. But take a look at that one-step method and see if you can do it even faster. Enjoy your homework.